Hey guys, Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and today I'm going to go through my process for resetting all of my containers with new crops and making sure that I get all those roots out of those containers, because they're going to be nothing but a problem. So if you also grow in pots and you're getting ready to reset your containers, I hope this helps you, and for those who don't, I hope you still get something out of it. So follow along and we'll get into this, and hopefully it works for you. So you may be asking yourself, what's the whole point of resetting these containers and what's the benefit of it? For me, I find that getting all the roots out, or at least breaking them up so that they can be not a barrier for the brand new roots for your seeds, helps my plants thrive better in the containers. It also allows me to pull out the extra biomass that's in that soil, and I can throw it into my compost. So that's the general reason. Now, for crops like carrots, they need to have a good soil that's unobtrusive with rocks or roots or a lot of stuff that would make them curve or split. So removing all the previous roots from the other plants that had grown in them before that sort of kind of helps do that, so that I can sort of kind of, for the most part, guarantee that I'm going to have not only decent carrots, but they're going to be straight carrots. So that's the long and short of it, really. It also gives me a chance to check out the soil, see what kind of critters are in there, and I can also add my fertilizer. If I'm going to have something in there that's a heavy feeder, I can go ahead and fertilize that entire column of soil, so to speak, so that I don't need to really worry about whether or not the plant has enough nutrition in that. Let's go ahead and get to the resetting of the pots, which starts, of course, with sifting. Now, if you don't have a DIY sifter, mine's is made out of hardware cloth and some wood, you could make one very, very easily. And if not, they've got sifters that you can buy. I try to go as cheap as possible, not because I'm a cheapo, but because I don't have a whole lot of money to blow. So my process was the hardware cloth, and it works just fine. So I need the hardware cloth. I like to use totes to collect the soil in. Also, that's what I will amend it in with the granular fertilizer and compost if it needs it. And I use Pro Mix also as a bulking agent, and then your seeds. So, but the seeds we'll get to at the end, because seeds are seeds. Doesn't matter what the hell you're planting, it goes pretty much about the same. So let's go ahead and get started with the sifting and the resetting of the pots. Okay folks, so right here we have my tote with my 1/4-inch hardware cloth screen and a bucket that had some kohlrabi growing in it. Now you can see they're still, even though they were cut out, they're trying to grow again, which is another reason why I like going ahead and resetting these pots, or containers I should say. So get it out of here. Alright, look at that roots all the way down to the bottom. That's exactly what you want to see. Of course they're packed in there pretty tight, even though this is a decent sized container to begin with, but whatever. Alright, this is the boring part of the whole video. Well, potentially one of few boring parts. So what I'll do is I'll start it, and then I will fast forward it through it until we get to the very next step. There. Alright, and after all that, that's what's left that didn't go through. So considering how many roots were in this entire pot, it's not like I'm pulling out all of the roots, but now I know that they're at least chopped up and not choking off the pot all the way through, making it harder for my seeds that will be planted into them, easier to be able to get that taproot down. So now that I've done this, I will go ahead and do some more work off camera to get some more pots ready, or at least more soil in here. That way I can amend it and fill up the pots back and get them sowed. So I will bring you back when it's time to start amending what's in this tote.
A few moments later.
So now we've got 2 of the kitty litter containers that did have plants growing in them so far are now out and strained through here. Like I said, there wasn't too many roots that actually go into the compost pile because they pretty much break up in here, but now it's time to bulk it up, and for that I'm going to use ProMix. And yes, I'm going to run it through this screen as well, just to break it up a bit and you know, just get it to be the same consistency as the rest of it. Plus ProMix can sometimes have sticks and twigs and stuff like that, so I usually will pull those out and then throw those into the compost pile too. So let's go ahead and get a good amount of this. You can sort, if you're like me and you're kind of OCD about wanting everything to be a certain way, sure, you can go the same route. But if you're just the kind that just says, you know what, it's not that big of a deal, it's not going to make that big of a difference, you do not necessarily have to screen it through here. Like I said, I'm just doing it because that's just how I am. I'd rather put a little bit more extra effort into something, regardless of whether or not it in reality will make a difference. I mean, it will make a difference. It will make it easier for the seeds once they germinate to make taproots, because there's no interconnection of roots and tangled masses that they have to go through to get a good start. It's all broken up for the most part, and it's perfect for them. But it's not necessary. I'm sure you can still get germinate. I mean, in the ground, it's not like you till up every single time that you terminate a crop and put down these seeds. I'm sure they'll find a way. But since we're not in the natural ground, and this is as far from natural ground as you can get, I'm putting in the extra effort, and I see the benefits. It's worth the time and the effort for me, but it may not be for you. So your mileage may vary. Now, since this is going to probably be growing more kohlrabi, and I had issues with bulbing due to extra nitrogen being in there, I am not going to be adding any type of fertilizer at all to this. I mean, the ProMix has its own small dose of fertilizer in it, but whatever's still left in the soil is what's left in it. So that's what we're going to do, and if I have to, I can give them liquid fertilizer, but I'm going to go right now just without nothing. Oh, and when it comes to making these screens, I built this one to fit this screen here. Some people will flip it over, so if I flip it over like this, I can get it to lock in and it won't move. Perfect, see? But I don't really care for it that way. I like to have the borders of the wood, so I flip it over. But yeah, It's just a simple little oversight that some people can make. Make your screens fit to the size of the container you're going to work with. Alright, so the next step now is I'm going to go ahead and incorporate all of this together. You do not need to watch me do this. There's really nothing special, just mixing it through. So I'll be right back. Now everything's been totally mixed, and I added a little bit more Pro Mix to it just because it needed it. Now it's all nice, light, and fluffy. And we are done just like that. We've got everything filled back up. Just only a little bit left of soil that was extra, which is, I'm glad that's happened versus be short. And we are reset. So that's all you guys have to do. I mean, it's really that simple. And if you're doing this throughout the year, you grow something in it, it comes and you harvest, you could turn around, have this replanted the same exact day, and the soil is basically fresh, and there's no anaerobic pockets, there's no thick roots that are all tangled all together. It's just your container soil just like it was basically when you first planted into it. Now, an alternate that you can do instead of resetting the way I just showed is doing this, where you do the same thing with screening out what was in the pot, breaking up the roots, taking out the big chunk pieces to compost them, but then you put it all back in unamended. And then you leave enough room on the very, very top where here I've got some of my pre-made, already fertilized new soil, and I'm just going to put it on the top dress, and then plant my seeds into it. This way you still have the same effect of busting up all the tangle of roots that are in there and freeing it up, but you've got the brand new stuff with fresh fertilizer in it, and that's all on top, so that it has time between the top of the soil and the holes on the bottom to drain out for the plants to utilize it. So there we go. That's the second type of reset. We're all done now. I'm ready to go in those pots that I just reset. Again, I'm going back and forth with what I want to put into them. I think I'm going to go with kohlrabi, but that's neither here nor there. The point of this whole video was to show you how to reset, and you can go from harvest to reset and re-sowed all within, you could do within an hour, really, depending on how big your pot is, how much amending you want to do to the soil that was in that pot. It's your call. So you make it as easy as it should be, or as complicated as I made it, because I definitely did do that. But I hope this helps somebody. I hope that, you know, you guys who end up doing this method, you can come out with better harvests, and that you get better seed starting out of it too. So with that, as always, I'm Big Wheel Dog 82 in the soil, and I'm out of here, guys. See you later.